Welcome back to Tetrakan Super Monoblock. In a previous video I opened up a 414 Mark II. I removed the cassette transport. I showed you all the various belts. Continuing from that video, we're going to remove the printed circuit boards from the two halves of the plastic case, starting with the lower half, just because there's a bit less to do, because there's less shielding to remove, etc. As I said in the previous video, just to make things concise for you and for me both whilst making this video and editing it, I've already removed the various screws. So I'll just talk you through where they are. There's one in the center here, and then there's one here, 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 and here. All of those screws are short, wide ferrule, because they're mounting it into plastic. You probably want to push the power button in before trying to remove PCB, and then you tip it from the back forward like that. There's shielding here, and you can see that shielding connects to... When I was filming earlier, I was wondering about a missing screw. Clearly, I didn't note that to myself. The screw in the top right corner of the cassette player does need to have a screw in it, and it needs to have this earth cable going through it. That shielding can be removed if you really want to go and give this plastic case a good clean, but the main reason to do this is to do any desoldering. Probably the main thing you would need to desolder, resolder is the input socket for the DC power supply, because it's mounted directly into the PCB. In fact, we've got a problem with this one. Yeah, I wonder if you can see that. I realise auto focuses on, but can you see that pin's got a break in it? So I haven't actually tried to power this one up yet. I know I got it cheap on eBay, so that may be the reason they couldn't get power out of it, and it's just because the power's not getting in because you've got broken solder here. So a situation like that, introduce some fresh solder there, suck it off, use a scalpel to scrape away the green paint from on top of the copper track, and if I put fresh solder over the top, then that will create an electrical connection there, and then that should mean the existing power socket will work. You know, there's other things that can go wrong. I mean, I recently was discussing with a viewer, helping him establish why one of these transistors here was blowing, and it looked like 45 volt DC from the DBX system was getting to one of these transistors and blowing it because some diodes around here had gone. So obviously if you're wanting to replace any of these components, then you do need access from the bottom. I realise that's a bit more of an advanced topic, but anyway, that's how you access it. Moving on to the upper section, the mixer. So the most common thing you're going to want to do here is just get the mixer out so you can get in there with some contact cleaner, compressed air, some kind of electrical lubricant. I use Deoxit. There's other brands who make that kind of thing. As I said in the previous video, you can see I've already had the mixer out, and so some of the caps for the switches have been removed already. But if you're going to remove the mixer, then you do need to remove the fader caps and the knobs. So I just left two on so I could demonstrate that. They should just pull off, and if you're having any difficulty, again, you can slip dental floss underneath and yank them out that way. You'll notice as well that although I've got a bit of thin fabric on this table, I don't actually have foam down. I've made a lot of videos where I'm working with a 244. I'm like, God's sake, put down foam so you don't bend the knob. 244 weighs nearly 10 kilograms, whereas this probably weighs half a kilogram, so I'm not concerned that the weight of this is going to do any damage to any of these pots. Probably you want to have some kind of piece of fabric or something down, maybe a towel, so nothing gets scratched, but there's not really any consideration of the weight of the unit doing damage to anything. When you open this, you're going to find that there's a couple of bits of tape holding these cables in place. First thing you're going to want to do is remove this board up at the top. There's a little cable tie being used just to hold this piece of shielding in place. This is the board that's got the guitar input and the balanced XLR sockets on it. It's connected by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws. You can see I've already removed 5 of those 6. All of those screws are this short, wide ferrule type. Then if you remove this plug, that's going to come out. I've already removed the screws that connect this shielding to the mixer board below, but I have marked with arrows where they are. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this 6th one here has a cable tie around it. I've left that in. That cable's just there, I guess, so that this cable doesn't go over here and get in the cassette mechanism when you're trying to shut the unit. At that point, you can lift these bits of tape aside and that shielding will come away. If you're doing this yourself, I recommend you find some kind of way of marking up this board with a Sharpie or bits of tape. You could use masking tape that would easily remove, but leave some kind of notes to yourself because things are a little bit complicated here. There's a lot of holes. Some of those holes are for the screws that hold the two pieces of the case together. Some of them need to be left open for the shielding to go on top, whereas other ones need to be underneath the shielding. So the system I've got here is the holes where it's for the case. I've put a cross through them and I've put C beside them. Likes of here, there needs to be a earth wire that goes to the shielding underneath here, so I've written earth beside it. If it's a different kind of screw, and I've written it so C/S is my shorthand. A few screws like this, and they've got this angle to them, so they sit flatter in their hole. Probably you could put the other kind of screw in it, but just in case it's important, I do tend to mark those slightly differently. And then the ones where the shielding's meant to be going in, I've put a cross through them and put S beside them. I mean, you could ignore all of this when you're taking it apart, but when you're going to reassemble it, you're going to save yourself a lot of headaches if you've made notes to yourself on the board like this. Assuming you've just got it open to this stage, I'll just talk you through the location of the screws that only attach this mixer to this half of the case. So there's a countersunk screw here, there's a countersunk screw here, a countersunk screw here, one here, one I mentioned before that's going through this earth cable. There's a countersunk screw here, and then there's two regular head screws there and there. The only one I've left in is this one, just to keep it partly assembled. So with those screws removed, a little bit of a fiddle, but it'll come out. You can see that there's shielding below there. If you want to do a really thorough job of the cleaning, then that will come out as well. You can get a bit confused about how to put it back. So again, I've written this side up. I've made a note to myself that the felt goes on the other side. So there's this felt that can be removed if you want to really get in deep and clean this plastic case. And that leaves you with this mixer board exposed. I've already removed the various caps that go on these switches. They just pull off. They can be washed, as can the mixer caps. A little bit of warm soapy water and then leave them to dry. You would maybe use Q-tips to get any water that got stuck in the cavity of any of the caps. Procedure for cleaning faders and switches I've shown in many other videos. I'll link to one of them in the description for this video. But basically you put in contact cleaner, agitate it a bit, blow the contact cleaner out with compressed air, and then add some kind of good electrical lubricant. I tend to use deoxit fader lube, and that seems to work for switches and pots as well. In terms of any soldering you're going to do, the most likely thing you're going to encounter is any one of these sockets that is mounted directly into the printed circuit board. Much as I was showing you with the power input on that other board, these aren't that strong with the force of jacks being inserted and removed from them. Then you can end up with bad solder joints. The other thing you may come across is really badly corroded faders. Now, I don't know if that's audible. This one, these are really stiff. There's some oxidation that's happened on the strip that's inside here. Again, I'll link to a video in the description for this video showing you a method to desolder these, open these up, clean them. I'll probably do a separate video just to see if I can refurbish one of these. I wonder if that's visible, but I mean, you can actually see the orange oxidation on that surface in there. What I'm going to be attempting to do is get some fine grit sandpaper, file that down smooth, get rid of all the oxidation, yeah, and then just put the lube on it, reassemble it and reattach it, and hopefully that'll work well. If it doesn't, I've got a 414 Mark 1. All of these components are the same size and those faders aren't nearly so badly corroded, but that's something you might want to address while you've got this open. The door mechanism on the 414 is very simple. There are two metal plates and they've got a bit of flex in them, so that gives you the sort of spring-like behaviour where it stays open. Same on both sides. One screw holds it in. This tick shape of the plate, the downward part of the tick faces down the way like that. Remove both of them and then the door will just come out like that. So you could replace it. If one of these arms is snapped off, then it's possible to glue it. If it's glued with zipper glue, then it tends to be a little bit weak. You can spin weld it, that tends to make it strong enough. I'll link to a video where I demonstrate that technique for fixing plastic. Oh, I think that covers everything. If you've got a specific issue with a 414 or any other Portastudio, feel free to ask me questions. I prefer to answer questions in the comments on YouTube just because they're public and it can help someone else. Sometimes people are shy or or they want to share videos or pictures or whatever, you can contact me through the Facebook page. My ability to answer all those questions does depend on, you know, my own time, other things that are going on in my life, but I try and make an effort to get back to everyone that I can. Quite apart from anything else, it lets me know whether my advice is working, gives me idea for future videos, blog posts, that kind of thing. Okay, thanks for watching. See you soon.